Everywhere at the End of Time, 6.5 hour album of distorted classical ballroom music, exploring dementia, its advancement, and its totality. Everywhere at the End of Time is an album produced by Leyland James Kirby, also known by his project name The Caretaker. His project is to explore memory and its gradual deterioration, nostalgia, and melancholia. Everywhere at the End of Time can be disturbing, to say the least. The 6.5 hour series of albums consist of distorted and altered ballroom music from the 20s to 40s. Though slowly, as you move along from song to song, everything gets more and more distorted. No lyrics to guide you, just you and the sounds. Though it's hard to talk about Everywhere at the End of Time without also mentioning its album art. Ivan Seal, a friend of Kirby, is an English painter. He is also working on the topic of trying to represent dementia through art. Mostly famous for his album covers on Everywhere at the End of Time, most of his artwork comes from his exhibition, The Object Hurts the Space. His artwork can range from simple to chaotic, but they all mostly convey the same feeling. One way his paintings were described is what an alien sees when looking at human creations. There have been many things like this to sort of simulate this alien-like feeling. One website I like to use is called ArtReader. This website basically allows you to upload an image and you can change how it looks, either by adding less chaos or more, to put it simply. It does this through image and AI processing to create something otherworldly, something that has never existed before. Many of the images created can be related to Ivan Seal's work in that these images are like your mind mixing things up. But how do you get a theme out of something that doesn't even have lyrics, with images that look like nothing? I asked myself that question and I knew only one answer. So I sat and I listened to the entire thing, writing down notes as I go, putting the music into words. The music is truly indescribable. It's hard to just describe the feeling you get from it, especially in the last 5 minutes. It is a feeling that you can only know when you are listening through it. If you picked a random spot in the album, it would just sound like random sounds. But listening through it makes a world of difference. In order to best give the feeling, I will describe all 6 stages. First with how I describe it, then with how the Caretaker describes it as well, plus the 2 hidden stages. In the first stage, we have stage 0. This stage is where you would currently be at. All the music you listen to now is what this is like, with everything else sitting dormant, waiting one day to finally wake. In the true first stage, things are still happy and everything still seems fine, but something does feel off. Most of the music is the old ballroom music described from before, with only a slight distortion and frequent repetitions. The way the Caretaker describes this is, the stage is mostly like a beautiful daydream, the glory of old age and recollection, the last of the great days. In the second stage, things are getting worse. The distortion is more and the repetition is less. You start to feel yourself burn away and you suddenly feel a dark presence near you, coming closer to guide you. The Caretaker describes this as the second stage's self-realization and awareness that something is wrong with a refusal to accept that. More effort is made to remember so memories can be more long form with a little more deterioration in quality. In the third stage, self-doubt and confusion start to become more apparent, with distortion increasing and repetition almost completely gone. You start to forget simple things and sometimes feel like you are in another world. Thinking and remembering the sounds become hard, and some of the indescribableness starts to come. The Caretaker describes this as, "Here we are presented with some of the last coherent memories before confusion fully rolls in and the gray mist form and fade away. Finest moments have been remembered, the musical flow in places is more confused and tangled. As we progress, some singular memories become more disturbed, isolated, broken, and distant. These are the last embers of awareness before we enter the post-awareness stages." From stage 4 and beyond, each stage is 1.5 hours long, with each one containing 4 parts in it. It doesn't seem like much, but when you experience it, you truly start to get the feel for how long 24 minutes can feel. In stage 4, you truly feel your mind start to deteriorate. This is where the "you have to" add listen to everything else in order to understand it starts. All the tracks in it, except for one, are called post-awareness confusions, with the one being called temporary bliss state. You try to remember familiar faces, but everything is gone. Nothing is truly remembered in its full detail. The dark presence from before starts to wrap you up and cage you in. Now the only thing you can remember is that there was more life to live, with it now being gone. The Caretaker describes this as, "The post-awareness stage 4 is where serenity and the ability to recall singular memories gives way to confusions and horror. It's the beginning of an eventual process where all memories begin to come more fluid through entanglement, repetition, and rupture." Stage 5 is where the last of the memories sit. They all have been melted and fused together into one giant mess. Everything feels so long while you endure it, but once it's passed, it's felt so short. The music makes you feel cold. It makes you feel like there's someone there even though there is no one. The music tries to sound like the ballroom music, but it has been artificially created and altered to fake it. The dark presence finally surrounds you while a new grim presence draws near. The Caretaker describes this as post-awareness stage 5 confusions and horror. More extreme entanglements, repetition, and rupture can give way to calmer moments. The unfamiliar may sound and feel familiar. Time is often spent only in the moment leading to isolation. In stage 6, the feeling is near indescribable. Even the Caretaker himself put it without description, and even the track names don't do it justice for the feeling received from it. You try to walk through the empty void that the dark presence put you in. The grim presence draws nearer as you walk along to find an edge. The sounds aren't right at all, but you come to accept them. You can sense objects, but they're alien-like, without meaning or purpose, and they fade as you try to reach near them. Finally, the grim presence puts his hand on your shoulder. You've lost, but there was never any real way to win. You two walk along the empty void until you too, finally, fade away. And then for our final stage is stage 7. It is the last minute of the song where it is just complete silence, symbolizing the final death of the person and that they are now truly gone. Now, does this all really describe how the music and how dementia really feels? Well, no. It's only what I could get from it. There is so much more to everything about it that we can't know it until we ourselves experience it. It's hard to say what kind of meaning you get from the music. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but it's truly something that you have to listen through all the way in order to understand the full meaning of it, because it can be different for everybody. But I'll do my best to try and explain it. Throughout most of the first half of the music, you just remember about people you have been with. You relive many memories, but nothing really happens until the second half of it. In in the second half, you start to realize that your time left is short, and that you need to live as much as you can while you still have time. That you need to try and make as many memories as you can before they are all truly lost from yourself. And in the end, you finally lose everything, with no way of ever being able to keep it. Almost a true representation of dementia. Now, I would be lying if I said I fully knew the theme that there is to this, because there isn't just one. Anybody that listens to this will get a different experience and thus get a different meaning from the music. Even the album art, everyone says they see something different than what someone else sees. Everybody's experience with the sounds of Everywhere at the End of Time is different. So to put this all short, live life to the fullest, because it could be taken away without notice.